On this week's Jack Swarbrick Show, women's soccer head coach Randy Waldrum sits down to talk about the team's 2-0 start. Waldrum is in his 15th season at Notre Dame with 2 national championships and a winning percentage over .800.
Randy, welcome. It's
Thank
great
you.
to have you here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You have got Notre Dame off to an undefeated season. You're the only sport with 2 regular season games so far, both victories. How are you feeling about the team at this point?
Well, I like where we are right now. You know, it's not where we want to be at the end for sure. There's certainly some parts of our team that we've got to improve, and you know, it always kills you when you concede goals that you shouldn't concede, and those kinds of things. But that's I think where we are with a kind of an abbreviated preseason. I'm really pleased with where we are right now.
Following up on a year where half the team were freshmen, you've added some very talented newcomers this year, so it's still a very young team, relatively speaking. How's the process of integrating everybody?
Well, it is young. You know, we've only got a couple of seniors and I think maybe 6 juniors, and I think last year we had those 12 freshmen, and I think 7 of them started last year, and this year we've got 8 freshmen, and it looks like we could have 3 or 4 of those kids in and out of our starting lineup. And I think it's just where our program has been over the last 15 years. You know, our players understand that the best players are going to play, and that we recruit some of the top kids in the country. And I think it is healthy for the competition day in and day out to know that my job's not secure. And so they've embraced the young players every year since I've been here, and this year's been no exception with that. So I think the integration's gone quite well.
15 years, does that seem possible?
15 years ago, no. You know, I remember getting the job in February, and I can remember that pretty clearly when I got the phone call. So it's been a dream come true, and let's hope we can get another 15 out of it.
Absolutely. This program is now very integrated into the national team program. Mm-hmm. You as a coach for the U23 team, and obviously we have a number of players who are in the national team process at some level. How does that help the program? Well,
it only helps because when they go away to the national team camp, obviously they're playing with the absolute best of the best, not only in this country, but when you think about it, around the world, because our U.S. teams are so successful internationally. But it also helps because the international game's a little bit different than the American domestic game, whether it be college, whether it be club, or even the pro leagues here in the U.S. And it brings a greater understanding and a greater appreciation for what is at the highest level. So we feel like when those kids come back, that information is shared, whether it's, you know, vocally or whether it's just shared by observing what those players do when they come back, and educating them of what it takes to play at the next level. You know, I think our kids get to a point here around that 18, 19, 20-year-old range that they have some really good, hard decisions to make. Do they want to commit to the lifestyle that it takes to win a national championship, or to be an All-American, or to maybe play for your country, or to be a pro? Or do I just continue to have fun and play soccer, and it's important, but it's not everything? And I think that's where we see our players when they come back from the national teams, because those kids have understood I've got to take care of my nutrition, have to take care of my fitness levels, as well as all the other things in my personal life to make sure I'm the best I can be. And so we think it's a plus.
How has your involvement as a coach in the program impacted you?
Well, it's helped me grow. You know, I've been doing this a long time, but I think the game changes. It evolves almost every year, and I think if we're going to expect our players to get better and continue to learn, we have a responsibility as coaches to do that too. And I think going over and coaching, what I found with the international game when I coach against England, or we coach against Sweden or Norway or other powers around the world, is it's a much more tactical game. There's more you're not just substituting players. It's more about tweaking your formation and how do you manipulate the space on the field and those kinds of things. And I don't think we get that enough as American coaches, just coaching in our own arenas. I think you find that at the international. It's like a chess match. You know, you kind of relate it to, they make this move, how do we counter that move? And so it's helped me grow as a coach.
Oh, that's great. Some changes this year. Obviously, we've talked about a lot of new players. Staff's a little different, too. You've added a new assistant, correct?
We've added Corey Holton to our staff. She's been great for us. I met her a few years ago when we took a a team of coaches over to Germany for the World Cup, and was impressed with what she did, and always felt like if I had a position open, she'd be a good one to call on, and she's been fantastic. And then we've added a new director of ops, Lexi Dakin. We don't hold it against her, but she's a graduate of Michigan State, and we'll see what color she wears in the next couple of weeks. But she's been great because she's so into our technology, and has been a great help with the video analysis and things that we really want that position to be for. So 2 great additions to our staff.
Of course, the biggest change this year are those ACC logos that are now on either side of the goal as we move into the ACC. What are the implications for your program?
Well, I don't know how all the other coaches feel. Everybody, I think, has been very excited about this move across the board. I know for me personally, it was the best news we got when you let us know that change was happening. It is the best women's conference in the country, bar none. I think 11 of the 14 teams last year were in the top 30, and you've actually got your top 15 in the country are made up of about 7 or 8 of those ACC schools. So I'm really excited. As a competitor, you want to play the best, and our kids want to play against the best. So it's brought a great enthusiasm for not only our kids that are currently here, but for recruiting across the boards. For us as coaches, we're going to have to be on our A game every week, and that margin of error, last year alone, just so that people understand it, Virginia won the regular season conference championship, and the next 4 teams were tied for second. There wasn't anything that separated them, and then of course Carolina goes on and wins the national championship. So the level is going to be extremely high, and we've got to be very good, week to week to be successful in it. But we've done really well over the years against the ACC competition, so I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Well, and you've routinely scheduled those teams anyway, right?
Yeah, we've played Duke over the years. We've played Carolina over the years. Wake Forest a few times. Florida State seems like we've hit them 3 or 4 times in the NCAA tournament. So, I think we're going to be very strong and very competitive in there. And I think we're going into it with the idea of winning the conference, just like we did with the Big East. And I think we've got the talent to keep us in that hunt.
As we mentioned at the outset, 2 big wins in the books, convincing 4-1 wins over a couple Big Ten teams. Get a different read this weekend, the Adidas tournament here at Notre Dame that we host, and on Oakland first, but then on Sunday a tough UCLA squad.
Well, it is. It's going to be a great tournament because we got Marquette in here as well, and they're in the top 15 in the country. And of course, UCLA's number 2 or 3, depending on whichever poll you want to look at. And then us in Oakland. Oakland has a new coach. I think what we have to be careful of on the Friday game is to not overlook them and be looking ahead to the UCLA game. And so we'll make sure they're prepared for that one. But then once we do get to the UCLA game, it's going to be a great test because we want to play good teams early. Regardless of the outcome of the game, certainly we want to win. But regardless of the outcome of the game, we want to get exposed, of where we have our shortcomings right now. So we have time to get that corrected before we get into the ACC, and that's why we play such a difficult schedule early in the year. So I'm excited about that one. There's 3 of those kids on UCLA that play for me with the U23s, and so they're going to be very good. It's going to be a great test, and it's going to be a great battle, especially for those that really watch the game in midfield. Their midfield's outstanding, and we feel ours is too. So that part of the field is going to be a really good battle for Sunday.
Well, it should be a great battle. I hope we've got a full house there supporting you. We've talked a lot when you and I have visited before about the impact of team leadership and how important it is to a program. Where's that leadership come from this year on your squad?
Well, we've got several leaders that not only are our captains, but just within the team. I don't think the captains have to be the only ones that lead, and others have qualities that lead in a different way. And right now, Elizabeth Tucker and Mandy Laddish were our captains last year. They were renamed captains again this year, along with Katie Naughton, a sophomore, who I think has a chance to be one of the best central defenders to ever play here at Notre Dame. So we got great leadership with those 3. But in addition to that, we have kids like Carrie Riccaro that just is a great leader, not only on the field because she knows how to train, but off the field. She's kind of a glue that socially brings the group together. I think a Sammy Schofield has great leadership qualities, and I think a Morgan Andrews, even though she's only a freshman, I think we're going to see her evolve to one of the best leaders we've had here in our history as well. So we've got some really good leadership right now. We're in a good place with that.
Morgan comes to us probably with as much fanfare since Skylar Diggins arrived in women's basketball, given the recognition she's so deservedly received in the past year. How's that integration going?
Well, I think it's gone really well. She has the perfect personality, and you relate her to Skylar, and I think it's very similar. She has coped well. You wouldn't know that she's a two-time player of the year. You wouldn't know that she's a national team kid. When you talk to her, she's just genuine and down to earth, and she knows how to bring her teammates into the fold. You know, when she gets accolades, she's always saying the right things, and it's not about her. So there's no ego with Morgan, and I think that's why everybody embraces her so much. And I think that's a great quality to have, because it's hard for those young players to come in here with that much pressure and those type accolades and perform week in and week out. But she has the perfect personality to do that, and she did well. I thought she was much better in the Northwestern game than she was in the Illinois game. Not that she was bad by any means against Illinois, but I think you get her a few games under her belt, and I think when she gets that first goal, things are going to start to happen. But you can see she's in terms of her knowledge and her soccer IQ, she's a level above.
Yeah. Randy, I really appreciate you spending time with us. A few more days, that beard is really going to look good. It's going to come in. Thanks for spending the time.